This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball. And tonight it kicks off a weekend series. The lone visit for Miami to come to St. Louis. It's the Marlins and Cardinals on Fox Sports Midwest. With Jim Hayes, Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Welcome to Cardinals baseball. No doubt it's been a disappointing year for the Marlins. A lot of the faces that we thought we would see at this time of the year on their roster are gone or injured. So it's a different looking lineup.
Yeah, the expectations were a lot higher for this Miami Marlins team, but injuries are part of the problem. The best player in the game, perhaps, is Giancarlo Stanton. He's been out with a handmate fracture. Jose Fernandez, one of the game's best young pitchers, also out. Their bright star has been their all-star second baseman, Dee Gordon. He's fourth in the National League in batting, second in steals, and they tell me he is the consummate professional. He's been a great teammate in a year of turmoil.
Dee Gordon will lead things off tonight for Miami. It's a good pitching matchup here this evening. Marlins have hit left-handers very well this year. Jaime Garcia gets the call for the Cardinals. Tom Kohler, the right-hander for Miami. Ichiro closing in on history. More on that in a moment. Third all-time in Miami history in saves with 94. Number 1, Rob Nen. Number 2, Antonio Alfonseca at 102. Steve Cishek may see Ichiro Suzuki. 40-plus years of age. He's in the lineup tonight, closing in on history. One hit shy for professional hits to match Ty Cobb at 4,191. Remember, he began his career in Japan. Here in Major League Baseball in the United States, over 2,900 hits. Remarkable career. Beautiful night for baseball. Big crowd is here. Marlins and Cards next. Is brought to you by Budweiser. Make a plan to make it home. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And visit your local Mid-America Chevy dealers for great prices on our all-new 2015 vehicles today. Beautiful night here in St. Louis, a Hall of Fame weekend. And along with Jim Hayes and Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. As we get a look at the Miami lineup led by D. Gordon. Then Martin Prado and Derek Dietrich, Casey McGee, Cole Gillespie, JT Realmuto, Ichiro Suzuki, Adeiny Echeverria, and Tom Kohler. That's the lineup that Jaime Garcia will face tonight. D. Gordon is fourth in the league in hitting at .330. Paul Goldschmidt at .341 for the Arizona Diamondbacks to lead the National League. And the first pitch is a ball, and we're underway. On the bench, Telis, a switch hitter, then Yelich and Bohr, and Mathis and Rojas. Ground ball right side. Backhanded by Reynolds. And with plenty of time, he gets Gordon. What do we know about Jaime Garcia coming into this start tonight?
Well, we know he's had an outstanding season. The 1.77 ERA gives up very few hits. In fact, the opponent's batting average against Garcia is just 189. That's better than Greinke's. Of course, he doesn't have the innings. The Hyundai pitch arsenal for Garcia, the sinker, occasional four-seamer, throws a slider, change, and curve.
Here is Martin Prado. He's 1 for 15 in his career against Jaime Garcia. We almost had a Randy Johnson moment there with that bird going right in front of Jaime Garcia. And the moment I'm referring to, spring training, Randy Johnson threw a fastball and it destroyed one of those little birds.
nobody's seen that video, or people haven't seen that video, it really was a crazy moment and kind of awkward, odd. What is it? Where's the ball? What happened?
All the feathers went flying.
Is it a ball? I mean, what? Glad that did not repeat itself here at Busch Stadium.
The 2-0 pitch is taken for a strike. We were talking before the game. You and I both really appreciate the talents of Martin Prado. He's been a very good player.
Very good player. May not be an everyday player anymore at this point in his career, but he always gives you a professional at bat. He's a very good fielder, kind of a solid guy to have in your clubhouse and on your team.
The 2-1 pitch. Now 2-2. Unconventional to say the least. Miami going with Dan Jennings, who was their GM and now serving as the manager in uniform. It is not official yet that he would return to the front office next year, but all signs point in that direction. Dan Jennings, the manager of Miami.
So difficult for me to understand how that works and how that works well. And he may be the right guy for it, and of course only your organization knows that. But you know, when you're talking to somebody in the clubhouse or on the bench, or you're talking to the general manager, or you're talking to the manager. Very different positions, very different kind of levels of stress that could induce for a player. I mean, I don't know how you play for your general manager day in and day out.
2-2 pitch. Little squibber up the first base line that rolls foul. They have front office personnel that are running the GM duties right now, and then Jennings would return to that front office post after this year. But again, it's not official yet. Very admired in baseball circles for his scouting acumen, great people skills. Said his biggest influence is his dad, who's still the defensive coordinator coaching high school football at nearly the age of 80. A fly ball into center field. There's Randall Grichuk. A look at the Cardinals defense. Steven Piscotty in left. Grichuk is in center and Hayward in right. Carpenter, Peralta, Wong, and Reynolds along the infield. And Yadier Molina once again behind home plate. In steps Derek Dietrich, who's in left field tonight. No Christian Yelich. Yelich was chasing a home run ball in Atlanta, tried to scale the wall, banged his knee, and this will be the third game he's missed, at least in terms of starting.
And we may not see him in this series. He may be available off the bench, but that's certainly a big loss for a team that's already had to deal with a lot of other losses. We talked about Stanton being out, and also Fernandez, probably the best young pitcher in the game of baseball, but they also have lost Caps out of their bullpen, who was really nasty. He was off to a great start. And they've had many others, Anderson Alvarez, and then of course they dumped some of their better players at the trading deadline.
Michael Morse, Dan Herron, Matt Latos, all with different teams now.
And Steve Cishek.
He's occupying his time in the bullpen for St. Louis. The loss of Stanton, they thought it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks. It was a broken hamate bone, and now we're at week number 7 and no end in sight. No idea when he may return. 27 home runs he's hit already this year with 67 RBIs, so he was off to a tremendous start. 2-1 the count on Derek Dietrich. I was talking to Yachty the other day about catching Jaime Garcia, and he said one thing you have to do when you're catching Garcia is that you cannot give up on a pitch. Meaning, as a catcher, he said, I've got to almost follow the ball completely into my glove because of the late movement that he has. 2-2 is popped up and out of play.
Keeps you on your toes, that's for sure, and you better be on your toes if you're an infielder, because Jaime's going to get a lot of ground balls. Going to try to stay in the corners of the plate, certainly at the knees. We see him working both inside and outside in this at-bat to Dietrich. That opens up the slider, makes it tougher to hit when you've got fastballs to both corners.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Big gap in right center. Got him. Took something off it. 72 miles an hour. First strikeout for Jaime Garcia, and a 1-2-3 inning. Tom Kohler to the mound when we come back. Riding a 9-game hitting streak. Then Colton Wong and Johnny Peralta. Jason Hayward, your cleanup man. Molina, Grichuk, Piscotty, Reynolds, and Garcia. Tom Kohler will get the start tonight. And on the bench for the Cardinals, Brandon Moss from the left side. And from the right side, Borges, Cosma, and Cruz. So what do we know about Tom Kohler? It's start number 22 tonight.
A year ago, he was their top pitcher in terms of strikeouts, innings. He was 10-10. This year, he got off to a good start. He's lost 5 of his last 6 decisions, however. Does have 127 innings, gives up a fair number of home runs. And the Cardinals certainly have seen him in spring training a lot. We've seen a lot of these Marlins in spring training a lot.
Too much. Hyundai pitch arsenal for Tom Kohler.
50% four-seamers, 5-pitch pitcher.
And I do believe that, even though they're not in the same division, same league, and it does seem like they play every other day down in spring training. I know Miami feels this way. The Cardinals do as well. They want to see other teams.
I think it's a lot worse for the Nationals and the Marlins and the Mets, those 3 together, than it is for the Cardinals. And we're seeing all 3 of those teams quite a bit, fairly close by, but to be in the same division and play so many spring training games against your own division, I think is not healthy. It's not good, I think, for the competitive level of that division.
2 balls, 1 strike on Carpenter, who's 12 for his last 34 during this 9-game hitting streak. And he pops one foul and out of play. Last 3 starts, to further your point about the struggles of Kohler. 16 1/3, and he's giving up 14 earned in those starts. That was against Atlanta, the Mets, and Washington, so he has struggled. The Marlins starters collectively this year 11th in the National League in ERA. The 2-2. And I'm concerned when you think about Tom Kohler. Walks. Gives up a lot of walks. 10th highest in the National League. Over 3 per 9.
Both our starters today, 29 years of age.
The 2-2. Carpenter. That ball is slicing into left center, and a nice play by Cole Gillespie to track it down for the first out.
We've talked about injuries for the Marlins, but one player we haven't mentioned yet is their center fielder from a year ago, Marcell Ozuna. Gillespie has kind of been around. He's bounced around. He's in his 5th major league team, but Ozuna had a terrific season, Dan, a year ago. 23 home runs 85 RBIs. As we look at the Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's Marlins defense, there's Gillespie, flanked by Dietrich and Suzuki. Echeverria and Gordon terrific up the middle. But Ozuna had such a bad start, they sent him back to AAA. One of their best young players, and he hasn't been back since.
It's hard to believe, isn't it?
23 home runs a year ago, and they haven't seen him.
Yanked down the right field line, but pulled foul off the bat of Colton Wong. Tom Kohler hails from New York. They say he's got that New York rough, tough attitude. You're from New York, and you're the nicest guy here at Busch Stadium.
He's from the Bronx.
The Bronx.
That's a little bit different if you're from the Bronx.
How come you don't talk like that?
Well, I can occasionally.
Does it come out every once in a while?
Certain words, yeah. It's having traveled around. Lived all over the country in this game, and it's part of, it's a game of adjustments, Dan, as I often say.
I have heard you on the golf course, and every once in a while you do turn into that New Yorker.
Yep.
Here's a 2-2. Trying to go up the ladder with Colton Wong, and a fly ball to left. Dietrich, 2 down. Brings in Johnny Peralta, who's hitting .281 with 16 home runs. Second on the club to Carpenter, and he's driven in 56. For Kohler, third start against the Cardinals, and he's had issues. One of those starts got roughed up for 9 innings, or rather 9 runs. He's thrown 9 2/3 innings, 12 runs allowed in his 2 starts prior to tonight. Pitched at Stony Brook University. The Seawolves. He is one of 19 major leaguers, or rather players in that particular university, to be drafted to professional ball. Only 2 have made it to the major leagues. Kohler, and the other one is Joe Nathan.
I did notice that. I was about to say something about that, Dan. It shows me that scouts find you. And Stony Brook, familiar. I'm familiar with that school.
I am as well
in New York, and I just to have a scout have the kind of the forethought to find you, to hear about you, to scout you, and then take a chance on you. Pretty impressive.
Stony Brook, just outside the city. I was there doing a basketball game, and they played the Fighting Illini in the first round of the NIT as they jumped to Division I. They're not even Division I for 5 years, I believe. So they will find you if you could play. Here's a 3-2 pitch. And a 2-out walk. In steps Jason Hayward. Hayward is hitting .289, 9 home runs. He's driven in 40. Last series against the Marlins, that was a sweep for the Cardinals, and arguably his best series as a Cardinal.
Had some good moments in the last month, hasn't he? Again, a combination when we watch Hayward of kind of a couple different kinds of swings to get those hits. Occasionally he gets the arms extended and smokes one, and he's also got the ability to kind of do almost an inside out half swing and finds holes with it.
See him go up the middle and to left field much more than we did at the beginning of the season. Rolled over on a lot of ground balls. And Hayward pops it up on the outfield grass at Echeverria. Jaime Garcia back to work when we come back. Scoreless after 1 here at Busch Stadium. Toyota, keys to the game.
Jaime Garcia getting the start at start number 11 for the left-hander, and key number 1 is for him to keep the ball in the infield, something he's very good at, getting ground balls. And the second point is the Cardinals to make sure they get that lead by the 6th inning. It's a bit surprising to know this, but 36-1. The Marlins are after the 6th inning. If they have the lead, that surprised the daylights out of me when I heard that. They've had problems in their bullpen, yet they're 36-1 when they lead through 6. So don't let that happen.
There's Casey McGee. Remember, traded last season, was with San Francisco earlier this year, and then wound up back with the Marlins, and now he's batting cleanup. He's hitting 190 so far for Miami overall this year at 205. And he had a tremendous season a year ago. Hits into a lot of double plays, leads their team in terms of that category with 16, but it was a productive season last year.
He's got the best experience on this Marlins team currently against Jaime Garcia, hitting close to 300. Does have a home run against Garcia.
Here's a 1-1. Now 1-2. High hopes for the Marlins again this year with the addition of Latos, the trades to bring in Aaron and D. Gordon. Michael Morse was signed as a free agent. And Latos, along with Morse, are hometown products. Grew up cheering for the Marlins. They've gutted this team again, and I think fans can understand this one a little bit better than the previous one moving into the new ballpark. 1-2 pitch, breaking ball, hit left side and taken there by Carpenter. It's 4 straight set down to start this ball game for Jaime Garcia.
Of all those guys you mentioned, one of them that stands out quite a bit to the folks that follow the Marlins, and that's Dan Herron, in terms of it being a big loss that they got rid of him. It wasn't so much that he was dominating on the field, but he was providing great stability for this team in the midst of the managerial changeover and kind of trying to teach guys how to do things right. And today's starter, Tom Kohler, was devastated when Dan Herron was traded. He loved being around him. He was learning from him, and you know, those little things you don't think about a lot. You just think about the numbers and the, hey, how's he doing and how old is he? But you know, there's so much more to that as far as the team dynamics, and Kohler certainly misses the veteran Herron.
Peralta puts away Cole Gillespie. Johnny Peralta now with 430 total chances. He's committed 4 errors this year. Think about that. The big question when the Cardinals brought him in, could he play shortstop? Perceived lack of range. And would he move by the end of his deal to third base or the outfield? No one talks about that anymore.
You know, you're going to expect some errors from guys on the left side of the infield because they've got to do 2 things, I would say, a little bit more difficult than others.
We'll call that a foul ball. And third base umpire is Jerry Davis, the crew chief. That's off the bat of JT Realmuto, the catcher.
And Carpenter demonstrating the 2 things I was just getting ready to say, and that is, one is you got to field it properly. There's our umpires. You've got to field it, then you've got to throw it, and you're throwing it from the left side of the infield. There's a big opportunity for error in that, so you're going to get some errors on the left side. And the fact that Peralta only has 4, very impressive.
Really mixing up speeds early on as Garcia. That's when he's effective. Want to remind everybody that tomorrow's Hall of Fame ceremonies, which begin at 2 at Ballpark Village, are open to the public. That's at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Got him. Strikeout number 2 tonight for Jaime Garcia. Midway through 2. No score. as much as any other portion, and that's when we have the chance to hear from Jimmy Hayes.
I like it too, Dan. You know, Brandon Moss has hit some hard balls, no question about it, but also no question that he struggled in his short time as a member of the St. Louis Cardinals. Moss told me when he's struggling, the biggest problem for him is the, quote, little guy in your head telling you to do stuff you shouldn't do. Things like sitting on the off-speed pitch and wind up getting jammed by a fastball or bunting. Moss says he has to keep trying to take good swings and ignore the little guy in his head and hope some of the balls that he hits hard go over the wall. He says in spite of his struggles, he takes solace in the fact that the Cardinals are playing very good baseball. Ricky, I was wondering, as a player, did you ever have an issue with the little guy in your head?
Oh, I had a couple of them, yeah. And I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, you know what's right, Jim, and that's really what he's saying. And I think that's a great piece from him. You know what's right, but there's a little piece of you that says maybe it's time to change that. Maybe that doesn't work anymore. Maybe I've got to do something different. And it takes you off of what your center is and what you do principally well. And so that's where the confusion starts, and often where slumps start, is you start to doubt yourself.
0-2 here on Molina. You'd have to thank human nature. He's also putting a lot of pressure on himself with a new team. And
that's part of the pressure, is that little voice, by the way, is talking about that pressure in your ear too. Aside from
just got a piece.
Aside from the fact that you may have 10,000 other voices outside your head trying to tell you what you should do differently, you've got kind of the inner turmoil, which I think is worse.
Molina at 283. 3 RBIs last night in the 10-5 loss. Takes a pitch in the dirt, did not go.
So, Dan, do you have a couple voices in your head?
There's not enough time to describe what's happening with my life and what's going on inside my head.
Well, there's a couch back here. Maybe we should sit down and we'll talk about it.
Well, I can tell you this. One thing I do know for sure, and I mean, there's no hesitation with this little guy in my head. He says, don't talk to Rick about it.
There's no doubt there.
No.
Yeah, listen. You might want to listen to that guy.
The 2-2 is a ground ball that's hit to D. Gordon. 1 away. You look at the Cardinals and you say, this is who they are. They are defined by remarkable pitching and the hitting and the offense. You live with it. You say, this is who we are, and we're going to run with it one way or another. I mean, it's not a great offensive club.
But you've run to 32 games over 500.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's funny, when we see folks from other cities and they'll ask us, other broadcasters will ask us about the Cardinals and the team, and they'll look at it and, you know, they'll talk about the offense, and their answer always comes back to 73 wins. So what? And I think that is a good bottom line. The name of the game is to win, whether it's 1-0 or 8-6. You just have to score more than the other guy, and I know that's simplistic, but that's what this team does. They find ways to win close games, and the pitching has been the one leading the way.
And you miss the big names, and when we talk to the broadcaster, they say, well, how do you do this? No Wainwright, no Holiday, no Adams, but it's guys like this that are flying under the radar, so to speak, that have contributed in a big way. Grichuk, a base hit into right field. He's now hit safely in 10 of his past 12.
Players love to be under the radar. There's something about that. They don't want to be kind of talked about too much. They just want to keep performing. And Grichuk, if he keeps hitting the way he does, he's not going to be under the radar very much longer.
Piscotty is softened the blow too. His emergence coincided with the injury to Holiday. And at home, he's been just terrific. 16 for 39. 21 games he's played in. 7 doubles, and still looking for that first major league home run.
A chance to visit with Brad Fisher, who's one of the bench coaches of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Had a nice long chat with him. I played for him actually in Puerto Rico years ago when he was with the Oakland A's organization and managed a team in San Juan. And I was talking about how good the Pirates are and under the radar, and he said that's just the way we like it. And I think the Cardinals kind of feel that way sometimes too. They don't want necessarily too much attention, although when you're Again, 73 and 41. Hard not to get some.
2 balls, no strikes. Runner at first is Grichuk, who has 4 steals this year. He is running, and the pitch is skied into right field. Backing up, Ichiro makes the catch. Grichuk is tagging up and running on Ichiro, and in there safely. How about that play for Randall Grichuk? He's off with the pitch to steal the base, has to retreat back to the bag, and tags up on what has been truly one of the great players in the last 2 decades.
Well, right about now, he sees that it's a fly ball. Gordon tries to deke him. Right about now, I'm saying don't you dare. With the arm of Ichiro, we saw it in spring training, and that one he just happened to short hop Echeverria. The throw would have beat him there had it been on the bag, but I like the aggressiveness. You know, it's like stealing a base. Every once in a while, you take an extra base and you take a shot at it. It's not always going to work, but you've got yourself in scoring position right now for Reynolds.
Reynolds sitting on 9 home runs and a breaking ball that's taken in the dirt. Matter of fact, you and I were doing the games in spring training in which in a 3-day period Ichiro gunned down 2 base stealers trying to advance on him, and he showed off that arm. It's still a very good arm.
Absolutely. I remember the crowd that day. There was a lot of oohing and eyeing.
Yes.
And wow. I mean, you could feel it.
2 balls, no strikes. Jaime Garcia is on deck. 2 outs, runner at second is Randall Grichuk. I can hear Jose Oquendo. Literally, I can hear him right now saying more, 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 screaming at Randall Grichuk at second base.
You got that from Matt Holliday.
I did, but I'm paying attention now and I can hear it.
Well, he's positioning himself, Jose Oquendo is, where he can see the second baseman Gordon, how far off he is from the bag. He sees how far off Grichuk is, and this is where you have to trust your coach.
The 3-1 and a strike, 3-2. Jose has always been considered one of the more aggressive third base coaches in the league. 3-2 pitch, and it's pulled to third, taken there by Martin Prado. The throw is wide, and it extends the inning to Jaime Garcia. This is a team that does not commit many errors. As a matter of fact, Prado just his 7th, and the 56th fielding error by the Marlins. That's the fewest at any point in their existence at this time of the season, as we're getting late in the year.
Looked like he threw a little sailor there, and McGee was having a little trouble with the footwork initially too, trying to figure out which foot to have on the bag, and I think he'd started his stretch and then the ball started to sail, so it ends up as an E5. And I wonder if Grichuk had any thought about rounding third and trying to get more from that, especially with Jaime Garcia coming up.
Garcia with a fly ball out to left. Dietrich, that ball is slicing, and the catch is made on the track. That saves 2 runs from scoring. The Cardinals strand 2. They have left 3 on. Dietrich playing way in left field, had a ways to go get this one, and he makes the catch. No score after 2.
Jacket statue tonight. Cardinals baseball brought to you by, well, if the Cardinals throw 9 strikeouts, get a free Monster Taco with any purchase tomorrow at Jack in the Box. And Infinity. Visit your local area Infinity retailer for a test drive today. During our evening with the Red Shandies, Lou Brock, I said, what do you remember about 70 years ago getting that call up to the major leagues? And he said, not many people realize this. He said, most people think I wore number 2. He said, I actually started with number 6.
Really?
Number 6.
Huh.
And Stan the Man and Red would be roommates for years, best of friends. And he said Stan was in the service and was checking in on the numbers that Red was putting up. And he said, uh-oh, what's going on with this number 6 guy? And those two became very close, and that's how a friendship was forged.
How about that?
Ichiro Suzuki, 344 average in his last 10 games. Back to Garcia. 7 in a row to start tonight. This Sunday, August 16th, the Prairie Farms has a pregame and postgame fun for the kids. Visit Ford Plaza starting when the gates open. Enjoy the usual games, prizes, free North Star ice cream treats while supplies last. After the game, kids 15 and under can run the bases. Ice cream Sunday and run the bases. You got it. Presented by Prairie Farms. Adeiny Echeverria. Ground ball hit to second. The 5th ground ball out so far.
Only one ball hit into the outfield. That was Martin Prado, who flew out to center in the first inning. Exactly what you hope for from Jaime Garcia.
And now it's Tom Kohler, who is 1 for 33 this year.
Dan, we've mentioned it quite a bit the last few days, and we'll mention it again, I'm sure, tonight. But I'm just so excited about the Hall of Fame induction that's coming up across the street, and just what that means to our great Cardinals who are being inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's going to be a special, special day.
I'm really looking forward, because I don't think we talk about him enough, but the ovation and the response for Ted Simmons.
Yes.
And we believe he should be in the National Baseball Hall of Fame, certainly the Cardinals Hall of Fame.
Cardinals Hall of Fame, no doubt, and I think in many people's mind, no doubt, the National Baseball Hall of Fame. You think about the All-Stars appearances for Simmons, the number of years he hit over 300, and along with Bob Forsch, Kurt Flood, and George Kissel, he will be, at least first step, a Cardinals Hall of Famer.
Hope to visit with Ted Simmons tomorrow here in the booth. Here's an 0-2 pitch.
Can I offer you a suggestion, Dan?
Yes, sir.
I think you need to study up before you have an interview with Ted Simmons, and you might want to bring a thesaurus with you.
Very bright man.
Wow.
Dal Maxwell knew that as he played with him. Those two were together, and then Dal hired him to run the farm system of the Cardinals, and then quickly became the GM in Pittsburgh.
Not saying you're not smart, Dan. I'm just saying.
Oh, I think that's where you're going, and that hurts.
So sensitive.
Just 50 cents the next day. Coffee, fountain, frozen drink. When they score, you pour at your nearest on the run. Why? Because
Why?
you
Earned it.
There you go.
I was a little slow on the uptake, but you do it so much better, Dan. You're having an MVP season with those. With those reads, let me tell you.
Means a lot too. Thanks. You know, the Cardinals, at their discretion, have one pick that they can look at and say, all right, it's not going to be up to the fan vote or the panel in terms of the Cardinals Hall of Fame. I'm not saying it's going to happen in the near future or maybe not at all. But just something to think about is Cardinals third base coach Jose Oquendo, who enjoyed a very nice career. But his impact on the kids that have come through the system from Latin America is enormous in the last 10 to 15 years. Bilingual, what he's been able to do to help them get used to the culture, the language, how the game is played at this level, the impact he's made on so many players at this level, part of those championship teams as a coach. Just something to think about.
You know, when he started out coaching, you know, I don't know that it was in his heart to be a major league coach. I think he wanted to work with younger players. I think they really had to talk him into being a big league coach. And Jose is all about teaching, and when you're around him, you just see him working with guys. He was working with Piscotty here yesterday, and you say, well, okay, he was a shortstop, but he has every nuance of how to be a first baseman down pat, and so he knows how to do it, but then you got to know the drills to teach it, and that's the tricky part. You can just say, hey, well, just do what do what Jason Hayward does in right field. Just do it. Well, that doesn't really help you. You've got to have a drill to become a better player, and you've got to work on it, and you've got to see what the player needs to improve on, and Jose's a genius at that.
Good example of what you're talking about, too. You saw Piscotty, and next to him, the right portion of your screen to the left of Piscotty, and there's a called third strike on Carpenter, but it was Matt Adams. And remember, Matt Adams originally was drafted as a catcher and then moved to first base. And I've talked to Matt about it. He said Oquendo has been instrumental in my career.
Helped him with the soft hands and to kind of learn to get around the bag and how to do that well with the footwork. And you know, you mentioned his influence on Latin players too, and it's such an important part of this game to have, as you create a team, to have good communication from one player to another. And when you're talking about a young player that does not have great grasp of the language, having a coach that is bilingual is almost a necessity. Now, the Cardinals manager is bilingual. That helps. But Jose's been around a long time and helped out a lot of players.
Echeverria, what a play! Remarkable catch from the Marlins shortstop. And the fans here in St. Louis even applaud the visiting player, Adeiny Echeverria. Tremendous catch. What a player he is.
See how excited he is about that play defensively, and why wouldn't he be? Look how far he goes for this. Now he's got to have hands to come up with it. Really a terrific play as he slides. You can see he has a lot of emotion and a lot of, I would say, pride in the way he plays defense.
And Peralta pops it foul and out of play.
Basically, the talk about Echeverria is he's just like D. Gordon in terms of being a consummate professional. He's just more quiet. Doesn't really talk a lot. Back to the language question. English. He said they say he can do it, but a bit of a struggle for him. But in terms of doing everything right, playing out every play, running out every ground ball, the middle infielders here exemplify that.
1-1, and Peralta taps it foul.
Gordon on the left, Echeverria on the right. They may be a tandem for a while.
They thought it was going to be Jose Reyes at short for a number of years. He was part of the deal that brought Echeverria from Toronto to Miami. Into right center. Who wants it? The center fielder, Cole Gillespie, calling off Ichiro Suzuki. Scoreless through 3 here at Busch Stadium. The hashtag MWDataStrongFan, and it's brought to you by T-Mobile. We'll have one of those coming up later in our telecast. Ted Simmons made his major league debut. He was 19 years old in 1968. He was the 10th overall pick in '67 and wound up being one of the great switch hitting players, not just catchers but hitters, in National League history for a number of years. He had more walks than strikeouts from both sides of the plate. Amazing. Here's D. Gordon. And the first pitch is a strike. Gordon grounded out to first his first time up. Had 122 hits prior to the break. That's the Marlins record prior to the All-Star break. Then he broke a finger. It actually was his thumb on his left hand, diving in head first into second base, and had to miss the All-Star game. He's had a very good year. He was an All-Star a year ago with the Dodgers. The son of Tom Flash Gordon, pitched over 20 years in the big leagues. Here's an 0-2 pitch. Fights it off in the first hit for the Marlins in this game. On an 0-2 pitch, base hit, D. Gordon.
That's normally a pretty good spot to go 0-2. He's trying to go up and in. Got it out over the plate just a little bit, but that shows how quick the hands of D. Gordon are. He's really improved his strength to me. I thought there were times where you could knock the bat out of his hand, but not anymore. Think how he went from 228 his first year, then to 278. Now he's having this season. You know, where's that stop? He's progressing quickly.
D. Gordon, by the way, with 35 steals, second most in the National League to Billy Hamilton with 53. With all the ground balls that Garcia gets, you think about the potential of a double play anytime a runner is on. So the game within the game, the chess match now with Gordon and Molina. A little bigger lead this time. He's throwing over, and he picked him off. Yes, the tag is there by Reynolds.
Well, that starts with the manager giving the catcher the sign to throw over, and then it ends with Garcia making the throw on the money. Reynolds has to really stay with the tag too, as really Gordon never gets to the base. But you saw Yachty kind of do the thumb over sign, which is kind of the universal signal for throw over to the pitcher. Flashed some signs, but he started with the throw over sign. And so it really starts with the bench thinking that this count, this time, this moment, we think is a good time for our pitcher to throw over.
And it's a key now.
Good thing they did.
Base hit into left for Martin Prado. Jaime Garcia was part of this 2005 class. It was an interesting year as these players all made it to the big leagues. Rasmus with Houston now, 28th overall pick. Tyler Green is with Philadelphia in AAA. Brian Anderson, a lot of talk about him as he was coming up, catcher. Mitchell Boggs was dominant for about a year and a half, and then Jaime Garcia. Strike one on Derek Dietrich. Always love looking back at the draft classes to see who was picked where, especially when you look at top picks and how things have panned out. Inexact science, obviously. So many different factors that could sway a player to be a better player or fall on hard times.
You just hope you get a lot of talent, a big batch of talent, and some are going to rise to the top and others may not. But a lot of opportunities to get a guy like Kevin Segrist way down in the draft list. Keith Hernandez was another one, 42nd round or 45th round. Now in Keith's case, the reason he was drafted so late is they didn't think he would sign.
He's going to Stanford.
So that was part of the equation there, and ended up signing.
Keith Hernandez receiving a throw from Kenny Reitz, a Bob Forsch no-hitter. Bob will be honored tomorrow. One of the great pitchers in the 70s and 80s here in St. Louis, and I know and we've talked about it, but a very good friend of yours.
Absolutely.
Cardinals will welcome the legends Forsch, Simmons, Flood, Kissel into their Hall of Fame this weekend. Fox Sports Midwest will bring exclusive coverage. Ceremony is at 2 tomorrow at Fox Sports Midwest Live at Ballpark Village. The special on television is Monday at 5:30. It's brought to you by your Mid-America Chevy dealers. Monday, 5:30. You can see it if you cannot be here. Again, it's open to the public. It is free. Ballpark Village tomorrow. Make a day of it. See the Hall of Fame ceremonies and then stick around for baseball.
You won't regret it.
I thought last year was
a
moving experience for many, and I'm sure tomorrow will be as well, with some of those that are going in no longer with us. As McGee taps it back to Garcia, but their family members will be here, and some of them haven't been back in St. Louis in a number of years. Jason Hayward due up first when we come back. In the National League, Goldschmidt, Posey, Harper, and Gordon. That's updated as Goldschmidt is 0 for 2. Buster Posey, the outstanding catcher of the Giants. Bryce Harper, an MVP type year. D. Gordon, all-star year. Head to DraftKings.com, enter promo code CARDS. We'll see Buster Posey next week. Jason Hayward will lead it off, followed by Molina and Randall Grichuk.
Dan, I've noticed the last couple of weeks, really 3 weeks, since the All-Star break, we've had a lot of home games, and I've noticed a lot of young fans here. Not just under 10, but I'm talking about 20 to 35-year-old fans. I think it's great to see the next generation of fans getting excited about Cardinal baseball, being here at the ballpark and kind of getting connected to this great Cardinal legacy that we'll be celebrating tomorrow, but I think it's ongoing. And some of these players out here today, future Cardinal Hall of Famers, and for these young people to get connected with them, I think is terrific.
If you're 15 years old and you're watching the game tonight, pinch yourself and try to understand the run of Cardinal baseball you've been a part of, because it's extraordinary. It's unseen before in franchise history. I mean, since 2000, this team has been in it just about every single year. And I think that's what really has hurt Ted Simmons in terms of his chances for baseball's Hall of Fame, because he played on some poor teams in the 70s. But if he's playing on poor teams in Chicago, New York, LA, it's a different story.
I think that's true.
The 2-1 pitch. 3-1 on Yadier Molina. 7 straight years. We talk about the durability of Molina, but 7 straight years Simmons was in the lineup for at least 150 games on the turf and the heat of St. Louis at Busch Stadium too. Let that sink in. Ichiro. From Ichiro to Jim Hayes. Jimmy, what do you have for us?
Steve Cishek says he texted Tom Kohler last night to see if he wanted to have breakfast this morning. He said he texted right back to reschedule. Said he forgot that Kohler was starting today, probably wanted to be alone. Cishek was drafted by the Marlins, spent his entire career there in Florida before the trade that sent him to St. Louis. He's looking forward to facing his old teammates. Obviously, he knows quite a bit about the Marlins hitters. He told me he spent the last couple of days mulling over how to attack each and every one. Cishek would probably welcome some work against anyone. He's made only 7 appearances with the Cards, but as he told me, quote, I totally understand. If I had Manis, Segrist, and Rosenthal in my bullpen, I'd stick with them too.
Manis shaky last night, but Cishek was very good. Maybe his best outing as a Cardinal this far. Grichuk is single to right, first time up. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's quite the headset that guy's got. Started listening with that headset back in '78. Two balls, 2 strikes.
These pitchers we haven't seen before.
Is that right?
Yeah, or maybe seen them once. This guy.
Well, we've seen him 3 times now if you include it tonight, but who's counting?
I thought we were going to get into a little fan play-by-play in color there.
I'm in.
I guess we should let him know we're eavesdropping.
Here's a 2-2. Grichuk the check swing, and he went. Strikeout number 2 for Tom Kohler. Pitchers duel thus far tonight as we head to the 5th. In, looking forward to the post-game show with Pat and Andy. And here is Cole Gillespie, grounded out to short. Andy brings up a very interesting and unfortunately true point. Cardinals just do not score for Jaime Garcia. One of the oddities of having Garcia on the mound. They have not scored a lot of runs for him this year.
We've said that at points about Lance Lynn too, and I guess you could say it overall it has not been a high run producing Cardinal offense, although you look at the pieces one by one, and there's certainly opportunity for this Cardinal offense to kind of figure out how to gel together. I know it's late in the season and we say you are who you are, but I think there may be an offensive run somewhere in the future. I really do. Been feeling that coming on. Thought we might get that yesterday in a comeback against the Pirates after being down. Maybe loosen everybody up a little bit and just go to swinging, and the next thing you know, you got 10 runs yourself. It's happened before.
And give the Cardinals credit. Down by 7 after 2/3 of an inning to start the game. And in the 7th inning, they had the go-ahead run at the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Cole Gillespie.
One thing pitching has done for this Cardinals team this year, it has minimized bad team slumps. I mean, I just cannot remember a time where the Cardinals had a prolonged downturn, and you expect that, Dan. I don't care how good the team is, you're going to have some time where you lose 9 out of 10. But the Cardinals are just not that team this year. They have been consistent every month, a winning month. Been fun to watch.
2-2, little tapper. Garcia gloves and throws and makes the play. Follow the Cardinals with MLB.com at bat, #1 app for live baseball, in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcast, statcast, and more. Get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet. A win tonight would give the Cardinals the 5th best home record through 60 games in franchise history. And as we mentioned it before, so much of that is due to the fact they pitch so well with the tutelage of Derek Lilliquist. Real Muto, the catcher, coming off a tremendous game against Boston. He was a double shy of the cycle on Wednesday, had 3 hits, 6 RBIs. That matched the Marlins franchise record for most RBIs by a catcher in a game that was set by Charles Johnson. Boy, was he good for a while.
They think Real Muto is going to be a guy that you can build your team around a bit because of his leadership. Not necessarily going to be your Giancarlo Stanton in terms of ability, but they really like him. They think he's going to be a good leader of their pitching staff. Wasn't really originally a catcher. He runs well, so he's not your prototypical catcher, but they just think he's got a high baseball IQ and is getting better and better each season.
Seven ground ball outs so far for Garcia. 1 ball, 2 strikes on JT Realmuto.
Dan, just to finish that point about the Cardinals being solid all season long, their longest losing streak, just 4 games.
Here's a 1-2. Carlos Martinez. Here we go again, stacking the cups. Where's Michael Wacha? Last time he tried to do this, Wacha was edging closer to him to knock down the cups, and Martinez took exception to that. You got to have a little fun here at the ballpark. Strikeout number 5. See, there he is. Michael Wacha is eyeing it up. As this game goes along, we're going to keep an eye on him.
I think he's using a little diversionary tactic. He's trying to get Carlos to look to his left. I think it's going to be a sneak attack. I've seen it before.
Here's Ichiro Suzuki. What a player he has been. Ichiro Suzuki. Fans in Miami love him. And you see their active leaders in hits. A-Rod over 3,000. And Ichiro closing in on 3,000. if you combine what he's done in Japan and what he's done here in the United States with Major League Baseball, he's one hit shy, tying Ty Cobb for professional hits, 4,191. Here's the 0-2. Where it gets a little sticky is that there are some that believe, that have gone back in history and believe that a couple of hits should have been taken away from Ty Cobb. Records obviously kept much better now. But any way you want to look at it, pretty good career.
Just because they didn't like Ty Cobb?
I don't know. Here's the 0-2. Hits it the other way, and that's a base hit. He has tied Ty Cobb for pro hits, 4,191. And they hold Ichiro to a single as the Marlins right fielder makes history here tonight.
They ask for that baseball. Even our home plate umpire understanding the significance of that moment. Will Little, that boy's got it in his back pocket. What a career. Actually, two great careers for Ichiro. Pretty typical hit, isn't it?
Yep. Still getting it done. He's been very good, by the way, off the bench. Marlins tell us he still can run. We've talked about his arm, and they would like to bring him back for one more year if he wants to play and get to 3,000 hits. Some tremendous seasons with Seattle. Here's the 0-1. Off of Garcia to Wong, and he'll step on the bag. Another ground ball out, 2 in the inning, and we're midway through 5. No score on this Friday night from Busch Stadium. Will receive a replica 1967 World Series championship ring. This one-of-a-kind replica has a detachable base and it's wearable. So get your tickets September 4th. Cards and Pirates, Cardinals.com/promotions. Some history made tonight thanks to Ichiro Suzuki. George Sisler, back in 1920, had set the single-season hits record. And in 2004, Ichiro broke that. And Sisler's family was at Safeco Field in Seattle when he did that. Hit number 257 to tie, then 258 to break it. And when Ichiro was at the All-Star game in 2009, he went to the gravesite of George Sisler. Sisler died in 1973. and he was living in Richmond Heights here in the St. Louis area, and he went to the gravesite with his wife and flowers to visit George Sisler's gravesite.
How about that? That's a terrific story. Ichiro ended up with 262 hits in that season, and he really just a hit machine. But that shows you an understanding of the significance of it being a baseball moment and paying honor to that moment and the guy that had the record prior to him. That's pretty special.
Don Wakamatsu was the manager of the Mariners, and they had pictures of him there, and he said it was one of the most chilling things he had ever seen in baseball, seeing those photos. 1 ball, 1 strike on Stephen Piscotty. Isn't that an amazing story?
It really is. It's an overhand curveball and actually almost goes backwards. Piscotty thought that might end up over the inside half, and it really just came in on it.
Here's Ichiro, backs up a few steps and puts it away. Love the drink run with any size, any flavor. McCafe shake for just $1.99 at McDonald's. It's another big crowd here tonight, over 40,000 at Busch Stadium. Glad that you're with us on Fox Sports Midwest, along with Rick Horton and Jim Hayes. I'm Dan McLaughlin, our entire Fox Sports Midwest crew. Reynolds reached on an error by Martin Prado, his 7th this year. And that was back in the 2nd inning.
You mentioned our crew, Danny. I really have appreciated our cameramen and women coming up with the faces of so many of these young people here at the ballpark this homestand, and really again this summer.
That's out of play.
Part of the experience here is you're learning the game, you're enjoying the festivities. There's always something going on here at the ballpark. It's the game, but it's a lot more than the game. It's hanging out with your buddies, family, telling stories.
Reynolds, a hanging breaking ball, drives it into center field, and this ball is off the top of the wall. Mark digging for second base, and in there safely. Almost picked up a line shot homer.
That ball, Danny, is out of a lot of ballparks in Major League Baseball, but not this one. It's become really a pitcher-friendly ballpark here at Busch Stadium. This ball is crushed by Reynolds to center field. Maybe a foot more.
Almost. The fans, you come here to cheer too, don't you?
Exactly. That's part of the experience. Yelling and screaming.
Garcia fly to left, first time up. Just how close was it?
I guessed a foot, and maybe a couple feet.
Here's the 0-1. Garcia hits it sharply right side. D. Gordon takes a hit and RBI away.
Gordon got a good jump on that ground ball. It was hit hard. You don't expect a pitcher necessarily to pull a ball. Garcia's had 2 good swings. And the reaction? Almost.
Remember, Jaime Garcia was hurt in the game running the bases last time against the Marlins. He missed the first 40 games coming back from the thoracic outlet surgery, and then missed 20 with the left groin strain. And he's robbed by D. Gordon there. So here is Carpenter, who is 0 for 2. He's flied out and struck out. Trying to bunt. It's a beauty, and it's a lead for St. Louis. A 2-out bunt. RBI base hit, Matt Carpenter. You talk about heads up. What a play.
Somewhere in America, there are about 10 computers that just blew up as administered by sabermetricians who were thinking that the right thing to do always is to have a shift. Wait a minute, that's not a good thing in this situation, is it? When all you got to do is get a bunt down to take a lead in the 5th inning of a game. It's all relative when you do it. I think they're going to have to rewrite some of those programs.
And now it's Colton Wong, and a key at bat now in this game, in this inning, is Garcia pulling the ball to the right side. Your pitcher doing a job to advance the runner.
Gordon picks up his team with a terrific play to his left, and then Carpenter wisely taking the gift of a bunt base hit.
1 ball, 1 strike.
We're starting to see.
Was robbed, by the way, from Echeverria last time up.
Terrific play by the shortstop. We're seeing more teams starting to think about what Matt Carpenter's doing right there by beating the shift. Find some way to beat the shift. I think teams ought to start thinking about drag bunting more than they do. When the second baseman plays in shallow right field, you get a bunt towards the second baseman. You got no chance. Get it past the pitcher. That's all you've got to do. Get it past the pitcher, and you've got a base hit. Again, situational.
The 1-1. Wong. Echeverria robs him again, and at the bag, on the bag, D. Gordon.
Wow, those guys are good.
The athleticism up the middle. Echeverria for the 2nd time tonight, robbing Colton Wong of a base hit. How good is this? Fun inning of baseball here. Carpenter, the bunt base hit, and with that an RBI, his 61st and a Cardinals lead. Start of the season tomorrow. Brad Hand 2-2 will go for Miami. It's our Budweiser What's on Tap. He's trying to pick up his 12th straight 10-win season. Remember, he missed all of 2012 with Tommy John, and Lackey has been sensational this year, especially at home. 1-0 Cardinals, the 61st RBI for Matt Carpenter. Here's Tom Kohler as the 6th inning rolls in. Garcia, who had issues with some walks last couple of times out, that has not been a factor at all tonight. He has struck out 5, and a number of the outs have been recorded on the ground. And another one recorded on the ground as Reynolds will take it himself. How about the Chicago Cubs, Rick? They win again. They have won 8 straight. They beat the White Sox 6-5. Rizzo, another home run, his 23rd. They beat Jeff Samardzija, who's 8-8. Rondon picked up the save. And the Cubs win 6-5. Pittsburgh at New York tonight. That game tied 1-1 in the bottom of the 8th. That was Jay Happ against Bartolo Colon. And speaking of teams that are hot, the Toronto Blue Jays. They're in the bottom of the 7th. They lead 3-0 over the Yankees. They own a half-game lead in the American League East. They're trying to make it a franchise record 12 straight wins. D. Gordon with 1 out.
It's one of the things that happens over the course of the season. It's not just who you play, but when you play them. And if they happen to be hot, and we've seen seasons like that in Cardinal baseball where some years you're playing all the teams at the right time, and some teams it just seems like every time a new team rolls into town they've won 8 out of 10.
It's another ground ball. Reynolds picks it, slides to the bag for the out.
The Marlins, by the way, have won 3 straight, including a 10-run inning in that Boston Red Sox series when they took 3 in a row.
The 10th ground ball out that Garcia has gotten tonight, with 2 outs here in the 6th. Martin Prado is singled to left and also fly to center. The Cardinals really have had their way against the Marlins. Own the best winning percentage against Miami. They're 33 games over 500 all time against the Marlins. It's a .598 winning percentage. We'll keep an eye on that stack that Martinez has going right now. He's trying to get everybody away too.
And you see Wainwright's kind of like the he's like the RA, or he's maybe the hall monitor. I mean, just okay, I'll let the kids play a little bit, but if things get out of hand,
enough's enough.
Enough's enough. We're going to go to the principal's office.
Here's Peralta to his left, and a 1-2-3 inning. You'd love to see that from your starter or any pitcher when the team gives you the lead. Stack it back up, baby. Forge, Flood, Kissel all going in tomorrow, presented by Edward Jones, and again that is open to the public, and our ceremony will begin at 2. And all the Hall of Famers will be there, with the exception of Tony La Russa. And Tony is tore up over it. He's actually overseas, and he said he was sick to his stomach over the fact he could not be back for this, in particular because of George Kissel. But he has sent along a very nice message, and we'll have that for you tomorrow. Here's Johnny Peralta. against Tom Kohler, the home half of the 6th, 1-0 Cardinals. Peralta to D. Gordon. Remember, I was talking before about Ty Cobb and the feeling that some of his hits, as they reviewed it, could have been taken back. The reason was, it's believed that a game was counted twice for Ty Cobb. He went 2 for 3, so you take 2 hits away. That would put him at 4,189. Regardless, as the official count is going with tonight, 4,191. And so with that official statistic, he is tied with Ichiro now. Here's Jason Hayward. Trying to figure out what happened. And this has been sent to New York for a challenge. How did it happen? Waka blowing on it, and then our guys just don't miss anything. Hayward grounds to first base, taken by Casey McGee for out number 2.
Now that's Cardinal baseball. I believe that's chapter 30 of the Cardinal Way.
Could be.
Got to have some fun in the dugout. And I believe that Carlos is conducting an inquiry.
It's a stern talking to right now that Walker's getting.
I believe this is some faux anger.
A strike to Yadier Molina, who's grounded to second, also flied out to right. Could it be John Jay? Molina fights it off. Gordon will take it on a hop, slings it over to first, and the Cardinals go 1-2-3. Just 6 hits combined in this game, 3 aside. We head to the 7th, 1-0 St. Louis. Tied Ty Cobb in terms of professional hits here tonight in our AT&T Uverse Rewind. Here it is, a base hit slapped the other way, a classic Ichiro hit that tied him with Ty Cobb. So some history here at the ballpark.
Well, he's tied now, but he really does not show any signs of letting up. We saw him, as you mentioned, Dan, in spring training, and we saw that the arm was still there. The incredible flexibility. He works so hard to stay in great shape. And we learned in spring training that with all the workouts he was doing, there were young players that couldn't keep up with him. And So it hasn't been by accident that he's gotten all these hits. It's been by work, of course, the natural ability, but a lot of drive and desire in that man as well.
Dietrich, McGee, Gillespie, only 64 pitches for Garcia thus far. 1-0 St. Louis. My partner Rick Horton tonight during the break said, man, can this team pitch.
I mean, it's just, I don't know why I'm overwhelmed by it again today, as if, you know, I'm not used to it by now. I mean, it's just for Garcia to be out there working into the 7th inning again with the low hit count and the low pitch count, only 64 coming in to this inning. Just, I mean, night after night, this is really historic what this Cardinal pitching staff is doing. Not just the starters, but also the relievers. And boy, not many sleepless nights, I wouldn't think, for Derek Lilliquist.
1-1 pitch. You're thinking, okay, end of May, this has got to change, and then it doesn't. Then you get to the All-Star break and you say, well, there's no way this keeps up in the second half. It's gotten better.
Well, and you would expect there to be kind of a regression to the mean, and, you know, everything what goes around comes around, and all the other things we say in baseball that are really true if you watch a season. And actually, if you watch season after season, you know that things kind of ebb and flow. Well, there's been no ebbing when it comes to the Cardinals pitching this season. It has been pedal to the ground, and it just hasn't stopped.
Overall, the ERA for the Cardinals 2.63, best in baseball. The starters 2.81. They're giving up just 8 hits per game, the starters. Relievers ERA 2.26, number 1 in baseball. Popped up. Carpenter calling off Garcia to make the catch. Add another unique throwback jersey to your collection. Saturday, September 5th, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older take home an adult gray throwback jersey courtesy of AT&T. For tickets, visit cardinals.com/promotions. I love those old throwbacks. The red piping down the front. The classic uniform. With the birds on the bat and the Cardinals on the front.
Could have done without the wool. I'm sure those guys could have.
Some hot days.
Can you imagine?
No, I can't. But they did it. Carlos Beltran, a 3-run homer, pinch hitting for Chris Young. And the Yankees have a 4-3 lead now over Toronto in the top of the 8th.
I've just got a great idea for modern baseball, Dan. I know you're really excited to hear it.
Can't wait.
With baseball being concerned about speed up rules, just put guys in wool uniforms. They'll play quickly. One way or another, they'll get it done fast.
You know, I have talked to a few people that have been to minor league games where the clock is behind home plate.
Yeah.
They have told me to a man it's not intrusive and it's been good for the game. They think it's actually produced a better brand of baseball in terms of the pace, and then the play is crisp. Guys are on their toes, and a much different game. But they think it's been a good thing. Here's Cole Gillespie. And he's 0 for 2 tonight with a pair of groundouts. That single by Casey McGee. I know when we wear our suits, sometimes I wish for a quicker game. You get a little warm here at Busch Stadium.
Why wouldn't players think that?
Before you know it, we'll be back in suits as the weather gets cool and you're in September and October.
I do think the next 6 weeks kind of fly by. Start scoreboard watching, and games have a lot of meaning. Series have a lot of meaning.
There's a base hit into right. See Hayward try to deke the runner.
Well, He tried to sell that he was going to be able to catch the ball, and he almost waited a little bit too long to get his glove in position to actually catch it on a hop. And like what he did, and it worked. Here's the base hit. He's trying to deke the runner into thinking, I'm going to catch it, so the glove's up, and then last minute he got the bad hop. And almost, that could have been trouble if it gets by him.
Just the 6th ball that's gotten out of the infield tonight for the Marlins, out of 23.
So let's see what Mr. Ground Ball can do right here.
He needs it. Real Muto is hitting .329 coming into play tonight against left-handed pitching. He struck out twice. There's your ground ball. Can they turn 2? Out at second. And no chance for Johnny Peralta.
No chance because of Cole Gillespie getting down very quickly to the bag. That should have been a double play. Could have been a double play, but he really kept that from happening. Nothing wrong with the throw from Garcia. Nothing that Peralta did wrong. It's just the good break by Gillespie. There's the throw. Here's the hard slide, and Peralta's got no place to go. Johnny may have had the footwork off a little bit, but you know, hitters will tell you, Dan, the worst outs to make, the ones they get frustrated about, ground out to the pitcher or to the first baseman. And look how many we've seen of those here tonight with Garcia.
And a fastball, a good one, and a strike to Ichiro Suzuki.
8 ground balls to either Garcia or to Mark Reynolds.
Runners at first and third. 0-1 pitch. +40 years of age. They say Ichiro acts like the youngest guy on the team, keeps himself in better condition than any other player on the team as well.
And this may be the most important at bat of the game right here.
Good pitch, jammed him. I was talking with Giancarlo Stanton when we were in Miami, and he said if you didn't see the gray hairs on top of the head of Ichiro Suzuki, you'd think he's an 18-year-old playing. He said he's just been great to have on this club. And now he's got him at 1-2. Garcia struck out 5 and would love number 6 right here. The 1-2. Ground ball right side. There's Colton Wong, and he makes the play. Kohler still in the game, the starter for Miami. Ichiro has made history tonight. That career professional hit has tied him with Ty Cobb, 4,191. Garcia has been terrific. Matt Carpenter's 1 for 3 with an RBI. This is our Honda home run inning. Gateway Honda home run dealers will donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation with a home run hit this inning. Carpenter, by the way, was a bunt base hit. If you're just joining us, to pick up the RBI. And it's now a 10-game hitting streak for Matt Carpenter. He had a 12-game streak back in April. Career high is 18. Grichuk with a base hit to right in the second and struck out in the fourth. Our BJC Healthcare difference maker is Randall Grichuk. And this is a look at the highest slugging percentage for Cardinals rookies. This is all time. He's at .551, fifth best in franchise history for a rookie, and it's a tool slugging percentage, which many of you know. If you don't, total bases divided by at bats, and that's how you do have a measuring tool for power. 2 balls, 1 strike.
And to push that further, for those that don't know, total bases, you're going to get 4 for a home run, 3 for a triple. Pretty obvious math, but it does let you know just how strong a hitter is.
Like that. Into right center. One hops off the wall. Grichuk, his second hit tonight.
There's 2 total bases to add to that slugging percentage.
'21st double this year for Randall Grichuk as we listen in as he squares one up into right center. Leadoff double.
Love all those looks. Not only do you hear the crack of the bat, but you see the bat speed of Randall Grichuk from those angles.
Twice Piscotty has flied out to right. 0 for 2 tonight. Breaking ball, and there he is again. D. Gordon takes another hit and RBI away from the Cardinals, advancing Grichuk to third base. But D. Gordon has been everywhere tonight.
Scotty does his job, hits the ball to the right side, and almost got more than that. Should have gotten more than that. D. Gordon stands in the way. Past the pitcher, and there's Gordon flying into the screen. Really, he's got very little time to react, too. Spins around, comes up throwing.
See how the Marlins want to play this. You have Reynolds here, the pitcher on deck. The infield is in. You think about it, Reynolds a strikeout candidate. You get a strikeout here, you force the hand of the Cardinals, or if you walk him, you would. Doesn't matter. Base hit into left, 2-0 Cardinals. Reynolds a 2-hit night. On base for the third time. 2-0 St. Louis.
Well, I know it's not Monday morning, but I'm going to sound like a Monday morning quarterback, and I don't even know how to play quarterback, but I didn't have a chance to get it out of my mouth that I would not pitch to Reynolds right there. With a guy on third base and 1 out, I've got to transfer ownership of scoring this run to a pitcher. You're not going to pinch hit for Garcia. I know he swung the bat well today, but I think you have to walk Reynolds. You have to take your chances with Garcia this late in the game, and I think that was a mistake to pitch to him.
And now it's Garcia to bunt. Reynolds is caught between first and second. And the tag is applied for out number 2. Our crowd tonight, 42,025, 42025 here at Busch Stadium on this Friday night.
Well, somebody misses something on this. It may be a bunt and run, it may be a hit and run, it may be Who knows what it is, but Reynolds checking it out with Jose Oquendo after he gets tagged out, and so was Garcia. Both of them saying, did I get it wrong? So somebody did.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. Last time we saw Miami, the Cardinals swept them at their ballpark. It was Martinez, Garcia, and Lynn in that 3-game series. And after this particular series, the Cardinals have only 6 left against the National League East. 3 with Washington. Last 3 of the season against Atlanta. The Cardinals 16-7 against the East. They pick up a little insurance. It started with Randall Grichuk with a double into right center. As we showed you his bat speed. Advanced by Piscotty. On a ground out to second. Comes in on a base hit by Mark Reynolds. 2-0 Cardinals on this Friday night from Busch.
In Ballpark Village, Pat Harris has a Bomberito sports update. Pat?
All right, Pat, thank you. Mark Reynolds has made it 2-0 Cardinals on a base hit to left field. Oh, wow. Uh-oh. It didn't look like he got it, though, did he?
No, but scared Carlos, didn't he? I think he thinks it's a conspiracy.
Bunt base hit by Echeverria. As he gets down the line, good speed, and with that hit, the tying run again comes to the plate for Miami.
Garcia has done such a nice job through 7 innings. 5 strikeouts, 13 infield groundouts. We talked about that being a key for Garcia. Only 2 fly ball outs. Echeverria getting the bunt down perfectly to start things off here in the 8th.
Another night where the Cardinals don't have a lot of offense, but the pitching has been so good. 5 hits for the Cardinals tonight, but yet they own a 2-run lead. So Echeverria is aboard. Miguel Rojas hits from the right side. Pinch hitter, double play ball. Out at second, the turn by Wong, and what a turn it is! Wow! Oh, how good is that from Cole Wong?
Well, Garcia gets the job done by getting the ground ball, but it also has to be Peralta and mostly Colton Wong in the middle of that play, that quick turn. Fun to watch the quick hands of a second baseman. It is not of his glove very long. And you think about the play that he made against the Pirates when Polanco beat out an infield hit where he was a little slow. And the next batter, the next inning, I guess it was, he turned a double play quickly. May have been the next batter, almost as if to make up for it and say, look how quick I can be. And just fun to watch what he does.
0-1 the count on D. Gordon. The pitch count very low for Garcia tonight. This is number 83. What I've noticed since Garcia has come back, and I saw him throw on the side in simulated games, when he would get to 85 pitches, and it's been this way even in regular season play, is when, I don't want to say he hit a wall, but you definitely could see he wasn't as sharp. And right now, the Cardinals have a decision as to whether or not to send him back out for the night. Colton Wong showing off here in this 8th inning. 2-0 Cardinals. Data Strong fan photo of the night. Hashtag MW Data Strong fan. Presented by T-Mobile. Mike Dunn, hard throwing lefty, is in for Miami. 51st appearance. Our Chevy called to the pen. Nobody throwing in the Cardinals bullpen, so this will be Garcia's chance to finish what he started.
Numbers not very good for Mike Dunn. We know how hard he throws. He can be good, but ERA taking a beating. Of course, when you're a reliever, you have 2 or 3 bad games, you might have a high ERA. Throws that hard fastball 58% of the time. Slider and sinker. Our Hyundai pitch arsenal for the lefty Mike Dunn.
Top of the order for the Cardinals. Carpenter, Wong, and Peralta. Part of the equation, too, with the pitching staff of the Cardinals is along the way you have to have solid defense behind you. And we've seen that tonight. In particular, that top of the 8th moments ago, the turn by Wong and then the glove and flip by Colton Wong. 1 ball, 1 strike.
But if you want the defensive gold star to go to one team versus the other, I'd say that goes to the Marlins with a couple of terrific plays by D. Gordon. Echeverria's made 2 fantastic plays also. But Miami did make an error early in the game, but overall they've saved some runs with the glove.
Here's what you're talking about with Mike Dunn, and a reliever that can have a few bad outings Last 4 games, 3 innings, 9 hits, 7 earned. So the ERA just in that time is 21.
There you go.
There's a tight slider. 2 strikes on Carpenter. 2-2 the count.
All right, Dan, you're going to have to help me with my memory. Didn't I play with a Mike Dunn?
Yes, here in St. Louis.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not imagining
No,
that.
you did.
Was traded over to the Pittsburgh Pirates. I believe that was in the Vance
Lavalier.
Mike Lavalier trade. Cardinals got Tony Pena. April Fools.
High fly ball, center field. Will it carry out of here? Yes! Home run for Matt Carpenter, number 18. Get him, Carlos.
Been waiting with those cups all day, hasn't he?
A bunt, single RBI, and now a solo home run. 3-0 Cardinals. Ground ball off the bat of Long, and backing up a bit, McGee puts it away.
Been focusing on the young fans here, actively rooting on their new generation of Cardinal stars. Here's one of them, Matt Carpenter, middle in. Bye-bye. Gets great carry to center field. And our fans' reaction, there we go.
Here's Johnny Peralta. Looks at a pitch low. 0 for 2 tonight with a walk. Here's a 1-0. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Fans have had a lot to cheer about here tonight. Pitching of Jaime Garcia, the home run by Carpenter, a couple of RBIs. Not over.
2 strikes.
Not over yet, though. Cardinals took care of one of the keys of the game, Dan. They got the lead by the 6th inning. We talked about the Marlins being good if they do get the lead, but the Cardinals have not let that happen.
Marlins will have 2, 3, and 4 coming up. Looking ahead to the 9th. Prado, Dietrich, and McGee.
You asked a question, Dan, and we didn't really get a chance to answer it. And everybody's got an opinion, but in my mind, this is Jaime Garcia's game for the 9th. You have a leash in mind. If you're the manager, just how far you would go. Maybe a couple runners on with 1 out might trigger a Rosenthal appearance. You think through what batter would that be you'd want to have him in for, but Garcia's worked so strong through 8. Just 84 pitches. How do you not give him a chance to complete what he started?
Longest outing of the year, by the way. June 12th against Kansas City. That was 8 innings, 96 pitches. And that's a base hit into right, just inside the first base line. As Peralta picks up a double. And the struggles continue here recently for Mike Dunn.
Well placed by Johnny Peralta. When things are going bad, this happens. Now, it is in the middle of the plate, so Dunn can't be too proud of that pitch, but just barely fair into that right field corner. Been a long week for him, I'm sure.
That was the 5th home run against a lefty this year for Carpenter. In his 18 to make it 3-0. And now it's Jason Hayward, 0 for 3 tonight. As you tack on runs, it gets a little easier to make that decision with Jaime Garcia.
Just thinking the same thing. Even that one run to make it 3-0. Of course, if you make it 4, it's not a safe situation anyway. So you wouldn't bring in your closer, but I still think it's Jaime's game either way.
Two balls and no strikes. Pittsburgh in the bottom of the 10th, leading 3-1 over the New York Mets. Mentioned earlier that the Cubs have already posted a win. The crosstown rival, the White Sox. The 2-0. And they've got the wave going here at the ballpark. Always one of Rick Horton's favorites.
I knew that was coming.
Well, every time it goes by, you get up and join in the fun.
I think that's the way that you divert your own particular mocking.
Not at all. Here it comes.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. Let's see you do it.
Oh, absolutely. Yay!
Having some fun now.
Here's a 3-1 pitch to Hayward.
Dan, you
Fouled
know,
back.
you know me. I'm too much of a rebel. The wave seems a little bit too much like being a lemming to me. You're just kind of following what the next person's doing. You know, I've got that little rebel in me.
That's been your reputation for years.
I know.
The rebel and the director of the FCA always mentioned in the same sentence.
You can be both, you know.
Three-two, line to short. Echeverria. Fox Sports Midwest and Fox Sports 1 bring you a full day of baseball tomorrow. The Cardinals continue their series with the Marlins at 5:30 right here on Fox Sports Midwest. Fox Sports 1 doubleheader, Angels Royals, followed by Nationals Giants, and coverage begins at 6. One of my favorite lines from Rick Horton: don't confuse
meekness with weakness. You might want to think about that, Danny.
You've told me that many times. When I might get a little sharp on the golf course with you. And
it's actually a good coaching thing to communicate.
I'll give you some trouble. Let's say we're on the golf course and you'll tell me, Daniel, don't confuse meekness.
Yeah, when it's Daniel, you know you're in trouble.
Oh yeah. Shoulders slump a little bit. Rick, I'm sorry. Molina, and Gordon is there, backhands it, makes the play. The Cardinals add to their lead thanks to Matt Carpenter, his 18th home run, 2 RBIs tonight. He's up to 62. The decision from Mike Matheny: do you send Garcia back out there? He says yes. He loves seeing that. 3-0. St. Louis leading Miami here in the 9th inning. Jaime Garcia trying to finish what he started his last complete game, May 6th of 2011 against Milwaukee. He has 3 career complete games and 3 career shutouts along the way.
Pounding the bottom of the zone still with sinkers. This has been a clinic today put on by Jaime Garcia. Young fans here want to know how to pitch. Strikes, movement, assortment of pitches. He's really had it all.
Prado takes a ball low, 1-2. Ooh, doesn't get the call. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Cardinals holding the opponent to 1 run or less. They've done it 37 times already this year. They did it 37 all of last year, and Prado strikes out. Look at the movement on that pitch from Garcia. St. Louis Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Make a plan to make it home. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Jaime's locked in, isn't he?
He
Focused,
really is.
Determined.
No 9-inning complete games this year for the Cardinals. With all the great pitching they've had, and they have not had this. Potentially what we have here tonight. The 0-1. And Dietrich is hit by the pitch. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals.
You said that Casey McGee hits into a lot of double plays, 17 of them this season. Garcia gets a lot of ground balls.
Cardinals have turned 1 double play tonight. It went 6-4-3. That was back in the 8th.
It'd be a fitting ending, wouldn't it?
It would. All the ground ball outs, as you mentioned.
That extra run in the 8th inning makes the decision to let Garcia face McGee a little easier.
Rosenthal, by the way, has gotten up. He starts to throw. Casey McGee is grounded into 19 double plays this year. And that'll bring the tying run to the plate. And a decision here for Mike Matheny. He's going to his bullpen, and we'll let you hear the reaction for Garcia. As he becomes the first Cardinals starter to record an out in the ninth this year.
Does it in 96 pitches, 69 of them strikes, a lot of first pitch strikes as well from Garcia. And he gives way to Trevor Rosenthal. Will be looking for save number 36. This is not an easy one. A couple runners aboard in the ninth.
Cole Gillespie, 1 home run this year. First pitch to him. I'd say he's just a tad late. There's a lot of guys like that with Rosenthal when he gets the rest, and lately he has had rest, and he's been as sharp as we've seen him at any point this year. Fastball at 97, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Garcia had the 6 strikeouts that we mentioned and only 1 walk, and that 1 walk the last batter he faced. So he was sharp. Now it's Trevor Rosenthal's time to be sharp.
The 1-1. You can understand why Mike Matheny would make this move after the walk and also a hit batter.
I think it makes sense. We talked about the leash he would give him, that it might mean 2 runners on base with 1 out, and that's exactly the situation.
The 1-2.
Interesting dilemma for Rosenthal, who's been using a lot of changeups to get outs lately. But Gillespie is so late on his fastball. Do you throw a changeup here?
And that's a base hit into right. Hayward coming on, bobbles it just a bit. A run will score, and that makes it 3-1. Dietrich scoring the first run of the night for Miami. The answer to your question, he stuck with the fastball and caught up just enough.
He did. It was away, and so all he had to do is drop the bat head on it. This should be an error, as the runner, Dietrich, was not going to try to score. He stopped. He was being held up, and then when Jason bobbled it, he went home. So that will be an error, allowing him to score.
Just the third error committed by Hayward this year. And a strike to Real Muto, who has 7 home runs this year. And the 0-2. Foul ball. Yachty will give it a look, and it's out of play.
How about that round of applause, by the way, for Jaime Garcia when he left the mound? I'm not sure I've heard it that loud for somebody other than Yachty or Molina in a long time.
The fans understand what he's been through with 3 major injuries along the way, and turning into a great story here in 2015. Certainly, if you're the Cardinals, he maybe has made you rethink about the 2 options that they hold on him beyond this year. Still plenty of time to decide that. Love to see him healthy for the stretch run and a long run in October. Oh, and 2 the count. Molina wants to talk.
And I wonder if this conversation is about just what we were talking about, Dan. I mean, the fastball has been up a little bit so far in this game, but he's got a lot of life to it. And again, the late swings by Gillespie, and then the decision was to go with the changeup or not. And he went with another fastball. Gillespie just dropped the bat head on it, took it the other way. Now he's jammed Real Muto again with the fastball. And do you introduce that second pitch or not?
In other words, speeding up his bat.
That's exactly what happens. There are times where you throw a changeup and you're doing him a favor.
And a fly ball lifted out to left. Piscotty for out number 2.
He certainly sped up his bat on that delivery, and fortunately, Real Muto was out in front of it just a little bit. Might have had a pitch to hit there.
When leading after the 8th inning, 63-0 the Cardinals this year, trying to make it 64. They're 1 out away. And the Cardinals trying to go to a remarkable 43-17 at home. They're on their feet here at Busch Stadium. Popped up. This should do it. Who wants it? Carpenter says, I got it. Why not? He had quite the night. He finishes the night. 3-1 the final. St. Louis takes game 1.
Rosenthal closes it out. Matt Carpenter has a very nice game on the offensive side, but this night belongs to Jaime Garcia. Terrific job. Picks up victory number 5. A solid 8+ innings. Terrific for the left-hander.
So Carpenter, the 2 RBIs, a home run. That means Carlos is waiting for him. But as Rick said, my partner tonight, the night belongs to that man, Jaime Garcia. 5-4 this year. Post-game show is next.
Check, check, check.